Today's job is to get these new struts in here. There's one for the driver's side too. Alright, first step is going to be, we got to remove the wheel. So loosen those lug nuts there. Well, actually, loosen the lug nuts, jack the car up, put it on a jack stands so that we can get under here and access that, pull the wheel off, and then we'll come up under the hood. We'll get in this little compartment here and loosen the top three bolts on the tops of the struts so they'll be ready to come out. That corresponds to, on the new strut, the top piece of that. And then underneath there we'll have some strut bolts that will come out from this bit here. There's also going to be the sway bar link that we're going to have to loosen up and take out as well, so we can take this piece out before we put the new one in. So first passenger side, and then we'll come over and do the driver's side as well. Now up under the hood on the passenger side, as well as way over there on the driver's side as well, there's this little hidden panel, or little panel door, that you take off to access in there the top of the strut. Now that's got a little cover on it that we'll have to take off. I'll probably have to put this camera down to do it, to get that off there, but there's a little plastic thing on top there. And then you can see there's these strut mount bolts. There's one there. There's actually three in there that I'll have to reach in and get with a ratchet. So that's coming up. First, I'm going to go ahead and take the wheel off. I've got the car jacked up. Got jack stand sitting on the jack stand. I got the jack here for safety. I will put the wheel underneath the car as well, just because I like to have that extra safety in case something weird happens. And then we'll move on to the next step. All right, you can see I have the wheel off. I have also, let me get a light, disconnected the sway bar link from right there, so that's free. I've also disconnected the brake line stuff, so that's free. I've loosened and actually removed the nuts off of these two bolts, so I'm about to tap those out with a hammer. Then the bottom of this is essentially free and ready to be lifted up. I left the nuts on the top in, but loose. And let me tell you, these are not easy to get to, with your socket, but I've been able to get this side at least, so we'll see if I can get the driver's side here in a bit. Alright, let's get that thing out of there. Alright, I got those out. Now I need to explain the reason why you should get your car aligned when you're finished with this is because you're messing with whatever that angle is. I can't remember if it's toe or toenail or whatever. I think it's not going in and out this way, but you're messing with this. I don't remember what that's called. But so when you take these out and put in a new strut, it changes the geometry a little bit, so you need to go and have it aligned when you're done. All right, so I got the three nuts off of, well, my light's not up here right now, but out of there, off the top of that strut. So it's ready to come down and out. I'm keeping these for now until I compare with the new one to make sure that I don't need to reuse those. One other thing I did decide to do when I was off camera was I put one of those bolts back in there just to hold that thing so it wouldn't come dropping down on my feet or catch these brake hoses and break them, no pun intended, and something like that. So I got to push that guy back out, but once I do, I'll be able to just pull that strut down out of there. It'll actually fall down out, and I'll wiggle it out the side past the jack, and then I'll bring it over and compare it to the new one. All right, I got it out. One other thing that is worth mentioning is you don't want this this knuckle, you don't want it coming out at you. And the reason is because you might disconnect the axle back up underneath there. The axle, whoopsie. Yeah, you don't want to disconnect that up in there or somehow mess up that inner CV joint. So I just took a rubber stretcher that I had next to me and just enough to hold that in place for now. All right, here's the struts. Here's the old one. Here's the new one. Notice that they are basically identical, which is the goal, the hope. One thing I did is I bought a complete assembly so that I didn't have to put my spring compressor on there and take that spring off, which you can do, and I've done that. I have to do that on my other car, but I don't like messing with that. And really, for not that much more, you can avoid some danger and just buy the whole complete assembly. These are pretty inexpensive, good quality, decent quality, but pretty inexpensive. I think I picked these up from 1A Auto or something like that. So anyways, I'm going to put that new one up in there, which might require a little help from my teenage son to hold it while I'm putting the nuts on top. And we'll get this thing back together. All right, the lovely CJD came out and helped me get these started. While I held that strut up in here, she got started with that bolt, that one way back there, and that one right there. And now you can see over here, we got that new strut up in place. Now it's just a matter of bolting everything back together and making sure everything is torqued to spec. Also, when the lovely CJD came out, she brought me a coffee and that no-bake cookie right there. All right, up top, I got those nuts tightened. I put the little cap back on the top of the strut mount there, and then I put the little plastic piece back in here, so the top is all done and sealed up. Now all I have left to do down here is I need to put my my link back on there. I need to let my jack down a little bit, tighten up these guys to torque, and put my brake hoses back on and put the wheel on. All right, everybody, new strut is in. Top mount is tight. Drop link is re-secured here. We've got our two strut bolts in and tight, but not completely torqued. I'm going to do that when it's on the ground, when it's under tension. I'm going to clean this rotor off with a little brake clean because I don't want grease on there or oil on there, because that kind of keeps the brakes from doing what they're supposed to do. After that, I'll slap the wheel back on that bad boy and we'll move to the other side. So one side essentially done. All right, here I am on the driver's side. I've got the wheel off. You can see the strut in there. I've actually got the drop link already loose. I'm going to go ahead and do this side, and then I'll finish up the video just by kind of going through my final checks, making sure everything is wrenched and torqued as supposed to be. All right, wheels are back on. Both struts are installed. Wheels are back on. It's on the ground. And the only thing left to do now is I have to shimmy underneath there and put the final torque on everything, on the strut bolts anyway. And then I'll fire it up and take it for a little spin, make sure everything's riding okay, and kind of start letting these things settle a little bit. And then I'll schedule to get an alignment done. So all in all, not a bad half day's work. And it was nice enough to work with the garage door open. So all done.